everybody. How are you? Good. Excellent. Excellent. So I know there's food in the back. I'm not going to take up a boatload of your time. Okay? So I'm sure you can all sigh a sigh of relief. I'm not going to educate on the whole process because there is a lot to it. But Donna and Bill were kind enough to ask me to come and share what we're doing. Referendums of Michigan is the name of the organization. We're from St. Clair County. Okay, that's where the idea started. I am 40, I'm a husband, I have a 2-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. So I fight for them, myself, for you, and everybody else. I believe in the Michigan Constitution as well as you should. And I would recommend if you do not have one, you should probably get one. Because I ask everybody the same question where I go. Why do we elect people that do not know this? Do not know this. Everybody tells me, well, we have to limit government. We have to do that. What? How are you going to limit government in its size, scope, and power if you don't even understand the very document that does that? Right? And I don't mean to be disingenuous in asking because I came through public schooling. A lot of people came through public schooling. A lot of you were homeschooled and you just don't know. So about 1.5 years ago, well, 3 years ago, when I became politically active, working with an organization, We the County, and then coming in, I've always been one to want to teach. I'm in the trades, I do commercial refrigeration, but before then, I was going to school to be a teacher, ironically. So educating people has always been something that I've always thought and wanted to do. So I said, well, why not teach them what they need to know? What do you need to know? You need to know the Michigan Constitution, because the Michigan Constitution lays out exactly what Darlene had up here. We the people, guess what the Michigan Constitution lays out for you? Your inherent power. Your inherent power. My inherent power. If all political power is inherent in the people, why don't we use it? Article 1, Section 1. You guys all repeat it when you come to your meetings. You all do. You talk about it. You email it, you call, you do this, you do that, but the reality is you get no results. Because all of that has no teeth. It has no teeth. This, properly applied, has teeth. And a lot of sharp teeth. You should be wanting to recall representatives that don't and are not doing their job as a public servant. Article 2, Section 8. You should be wanting to referendum legislation that Lansing passes. You should want to do that. Article 2, Section 9. If you want to repeal statutory laws. If you want to do that, or write your own. You can write your own. Article 2, Section 9. If you want to change the Michigan Constitution, everybody blew a gasket when Prop 1, 2, and 3 came through and were passed. Everybody did. But the reality is you have the power to change it, which is Article 12, Section 2. You have that power. You've never lost it. And I get so sick and tired of hearing people literally being told, just, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. You give this, I'll do it. It's up to you. It's up to you. And it's up to you to get educated and understand what your role is as an elector in this state. It is your job. And speaking with both of them, this is where I stand. I want to educate people that want to unite with, say, our group, Referendums of Michigan, or whatever group. Everybody should be talking about these processes. They really should, because it speaks to everybody. The Constitution talks at the heart of the matter. It goes right there. It doesn't talk about a bunch of nonsense. It goes right to the heart of our power and how we hold it and how we should be applying it daily. It's never changed since 1835. It's never changed when it was first ratified in this state. And I've spoke to both of them. What a better fit for the Constitution Party to actually use and apply the Constitution. What an absolute opportunity to make that happen. If you guys would like to check out our website, it's www.rofmi.org. Okay? www.rofmi.org. Okay? So here's the deal. what we have out there when you walk out, we have a petition, okay? It's for Public Act 38, the Extreme Risk Protection Orders, better known as the red flag gun laws. I got tired of talking and listening to people talk and getting nowhere, so I decided to start educating people. We launched a referendum, and this is where we're at. We're going to continue to do this because the Constitution calls us to do this, and we need your help. I want to unite with as many people as possible because it's not about me, it's about all of us, right? It has to be about all of us. It's about your grandchildren. It's about my grandchildren. We have to do this, and it is about us. I get very passionate when I talk about these things because for the last 3 years I have studied and poured my heart out to everybody in different rooms to explain to them why we should do this. And people say, man, I never knew that. I was never taught that. That's okay. But guess what? You can start learning it now because you should want to repeal laws. Because every time we do nothing, do you know what you give Lansing? You give them your informed consent. Every single time you do nothing, you give them your informed consent. Stop giving them your informed consent. When I teach, I love to use tools. Firearms laws in the state of Michigan. This is every firearm law that has been passed in the state of Michigan. Current. Informed consent. They could care less about Article 1, Section 6. And this proves otherwise. Here's your Michigan election law. Okay? This is what they do. This is because we have given our informed consent. Okay? That's a problem. And there's many other public acts that are out there. The Public Health Code, and so on and so forth that they used during the COVID stuff and all that. I think it's Public Act 378 to do all this chaotic, crazy nonsense. Just not to us, but everyone out there and outside these walls. Being uneducated is not an excuse anymore. And I would definitely, above anything else, guys, I want you to learn what you need to know. The referendum process is such an easy process to do. It really is just getting signatures on a petition and you reject the law. You reject it. Everybody can, and yes, what Bill was talking about, you can. If you want to repeal every law that was put on the books or strengthen Article 1, Section 6 to essentially make all that null and void, you can do that. You have the power to do it. It's never left your hands. Never has. You know, our tagline is the inherent power of the pen. And I know everybody wants to pick up swords and guns and start swinging, but you know what? The pen can be mightier than the sword when you know how to wield it. When you know how to wield it. And if you think wherever, east of here, that they care, these people do not care. They don't care about what you think. They do not care about what you're going to do, and they're going to continue to do it until you say no. So I would ask all of you, when are you going to say no? We can teach you what you need to know, and I will teach you what you need to know, but I need your help. I can't do it by myself. They cannot do it by themselves. They can't. We need everybody. I wanted to give you guys an idea. We're here in Allegan County, correct? So just to give you an idea, in Allegan County, this is current, I printed this off, there's 98,243 registered electors in the state, or in Allegan County. Okay? Almost 100,000. Take half of it. I don't care. The reality of it is that you legitimately need, okay, 225,000 signatures on a petition. Do you realize that Allegan County alone could referendum any law that comes out of Lansing? I'll do you one better, close to me. Macomb County has 711,000 registered electors. Take half of it, 350. Macomb County alone could referendum any single bill that Lansing put forth. And there's nothing that Whitmer and the rest of them can do about it. Why? Because your voice tells them what to do, and they don't overrule you. You have to have that mindset. They don't tell you what to do. You tell them what to do. You tell them what you want, period. And when they pass stupid legislation, irregardless of what party is in there, hold them accountable. Stop giving them your informed consent. Stop, because they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. All they do is parade around, talk about nonsense that means nothing, and get absolutely nothing accomplished. But you know what they do? They take bit by bit liberty from you and your family, bit by bit by bit. And they laugh about it because they honestly do not care. They don't care. Because if they really wanted to limit government in its size, scope, and power, they would. So they don't care. So don't fool yourself to think, oh yeah, exercise your power, because no one in the state seemingly wants to exercise their power. Stop giving them your informed consent. Okay? Please stop, and please help us, help the U.S. taxpayer party, man. Like, this is what it's all about. They're the party of the Constitution. I mean, come on. This is where we're at, right? I mean, I'm 40, man. I got another hopefully 20 to 30 years of political activism ahead of me. But I'm going to do what's right. And what's right is utilizing this to get results. Because this is what it is. I've always used an acronym when I teach. It's educate, activate, repeat. It is that simple. To do anything, you have to be educated. You have to be. You have to take the time to educate yourself on the truth, the honest truth. Though a lot of you may sometimes have a hard time understanding what that truth is. It's okay. Educate yourself on that truth, and then activate yourself. And then lastly, create a system that is easily duplicatable so you can get more people to help you. That's where we're at. Educate, activate, repeat. It is that way. Disassociate yourself with all the crazy nonsense, because if they're not utilizing the Constitution, it means absolutely nothing to you. And it always has. Yes, sir.
Well, I've been to the grassroots a long time, and I've been a useful idiot before. So I'm taking on myself to tell everybody to not be a useful idiot, maybe learn from my mistakes. Watch for trolls like Strategic National. They use these ballot initiatives, these referendums, to actually build their database, and then they sell it.
Yes.
So always good to ask, and it's a good way to enter into something and say, tell me about the stewardship of the data.
Sure.
Who's responsible? Don't do that. And I would say, from the standpoint of going out there, be very, very clear about the stewardship of the data. Like you said, Bill, I don't sell your information when you sign up. It's huge. Well, actually, it should be bigger. I'll be honest with you. It's not as big as it should be.
Correct. Yes.
But just a thought.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Your guys, your personal data, your privacy should be number one, man. Even as much as when you sign a petition, your signature matters. It always has. You shouldn't just walk out there and sign a petition that you know nothing about. Educate yourself on what that is, because your signature is your signature, right? Just don't give it to something. And it all goes back again to educating yourself on what you're actually signing, what you're actually doing, and so on and so forth. You have to be educated. And that's honestly the processes in the Michigan Constitution lay out. And ironically, across the state, what I get when I talk with people is they never knew these processes existed. Nothing has been brought under, and this is what we're really looking to do. Things like the recall, the referendum, the legislative initiative, and the constitutional amendment, no one has taken the time to build that network to actually do all that, right? This is something that needs to be done, because if you think that no one else on the crazy side of trying to convert Michigan has done this, well, look at what Promote the Vote has done. Promote the Vote passed all that nonsense in 2018, then they came right back through again in 2022. So they have essentially done, and what I hear from people is, now what do we do? Now what do we do? Guess what? You can take all of it right back out. All of it. All of it. Everything that they put in, you have the power to take right back out. So stop talking about it and let's do it. You know, we drafted a petition from scratch, we stood in front of the Board of Canvassers, we've got everything approved, we have the language to do it, and this is going to be repeated time and time and time and time again. It has to be. Yes?
Could you read the language of the petition so we all don't have to stand at the table and read it later?
Yes, I will.
Number one. And number two, what kind of deadline do you have? I'm assuming they force a deadline on you to collect.
Yes. So I am huge on education. So when we launched our drive for Public Act 38, we did that a little late, okay? So typically for a referendum, you have 90 days until they adjourn. But I'm not one to sit there and say I'm not going to do anything. I think that's ridiculous because people's voice in the state matters, okay? So typically, as soon as Whitmer signs a bill, or whoever the governor is for that matter, you can referendum it right away. So if she were to sign a law, say in February of 2024 that you didn't like, you have all of 2020, from that point when she signs it, all of 2024, plus the 90 days after they adjourn. So if they don't adjourn early, like the goofballs did in November, and they actually adjourn in December, like normal, you would have technically until the end of February, or excuse me, the beginning of March to get that done. The referendum process, guys, is not governed by the same statutory language that a legislative initiative or a constitutional amendment is. Think about it like this. The recall process for the people is in a separate category from the constitutional amendment to the statutory initiative to the referendum. They're all in the Michigan Constitution, but they're all governed by different things, okay? They are similar because it's our power, but statutorily they all are governed by different timelines and timeframes. But the referendum out of all of them is the easiest to get done, and it should be, okay? So anytime they pass a bill that essentially doesn't have money tied to it, which if you were to ask me, I think they should ask us to spend their money. The reality of it is that you can referendum that. And any county can do this. Anybody, any one of you could literally take this petition, okay, draft your own, submit it, and start collecting signatures on it. It's really that easy. And then real quick, I will read what it says. So what we wrote up for our 100-word summary is a referendum of legislation for the voters of the state of Michigan to approve or reject Public Act 38 of 2023 enacted by the legislature. Public Act 38 of 2023 would, among other things, do all of the following. It would create the Extreme Risk Protection Order Act. This act would provide for the issuance of restraining orders prohibit certain individuals from possessing or purchasing firearms and ordering the surrender and seizure of a restrained individual's firearms to provide for the powers and duties in certain state and local governmental officers and entities and to prescribe penalties and provide remedies. Now, I have this whole, it is on the petition, okay, the whole law that came out of Lansing. But I do have books of it out there if any of you would like to take some and actually read it. One thing I know about lawyers, thank you. One thing I know about lawyers is they love gray area. There is so much gray area in that law. There is so much gray area. And if you think it's not going to be abused, you're kidding yourself. And I don't think I have to tell any of you in this room that yes, it's abused all the time. All the time. And there is a lot of dangerous things in there because any one of you, if that law goes into effect in February, could say, well, that Paul Urben guy was out at my meeting. I think he's crazy because he's talking about constitutional stuff and I want to file a restraining order against him. And guess what? You go to the court and get a court order and the court comes, knocks on my door and says, Mr. Urben, do you have firearms? I'm like, yeah. How about that? That's how that works. And they're going to use it against you. Any chance that they can. Yes, ma'am.
It seems to me that the only way they can use it against us is if we don't stand up and say the Second Amendment says that our right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's one thing I wanted to say.
Yep.
The other thing, the legislative power is in Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution is given to the Congress. That's the House and the Senate. Article 4, Section 4 guarantees each state a Republican form of government, and a case called Pacific State Telephone and Telegraph versus Oregon was was adjudicated in 1911, I believe, and basically says that the referendum and the initiative are democratic in nature. They are not Republican in nature. The Michigan Constitution of 1963 was approved by 50.23% of the voters, and that was after a recount. Now, if that's Republican, I don't know the meaning of the word. You can't have 50.23% of the number of voters that actually voted in the election decide what 100% of us in Michigan have to live by. That Constitution of 1963 gave 12 pages worth of new duties to the legislature. They gave it to themselves because they wrote it. And then they usurped the authority to pass it. So I'm of the opinion, I can't understand, let me phrase my question. Can you please explain to me how 300,000 people in the state of Michigan can sign a document and then have it be placed on a ballot for 14% of the people that decide to vote, and it makes 100% of us live under that rule? I think that is egregious. In fact, Pacific States calls it repugnant to the republic. So I'm challenging you. I don't think the initiative and the referendum are really the constitutional way that we, the people, need to take back our power. Yes.
I can clarify this for you.
Okay.
There's a big difference between a Michigan Constitution and a Constitution for the state of Michigan. The Constitution for the state of Michigan is a democratic constitution where you're living under a democracy, if that's what you're claiming your rights are coming from.
My
It's a
rights
bait
come
and-
from God.
Well, it's a bait and switch. It's bait and switch. They gave a new constitution. You think it's a constitution for the people, but it's not.
Are you talking about the 1963
This-
Constitution?
The 63 Constitution.
Yeah, I
If you
agree.
read that, it says Constitution of the State of Michigan. The State of
yeah.
Michigan's a corporation.
Okay, I can't get into semantics. I understand, and I understand.
That's important.
But I don't know. I don't know if anybody here can help me. John, can you help me explain what I'm trying to explain? Am I doing it right?
Yeah, you did it perfectly, as far as I'm concerned. You said it just like it was.
Okay.
So your ability, though, you're still, no matter if you use a legislative or the referendum process, the referendum process specifically is the people rejecting that. I don't disagree with what you're saying, that if there are 50 people, say there's 150 people say something's okay, and 51 say that that is a true representation. What I'm telling you, though, is that we have the ability to change all of this as well. So all of this, yes, from 1963, things were changed from the 1908. From the 1850 into 1908, yes, things were changed. But this is my point. My point is due to our lack of understanding what has been changed, we have to go back and say, okay, what did the 1835 say? How did that change to 1850? How from 1850 to 1908, in 1908 to 1963. And don't forget, guys, every 16 years, to bank on what you're asking about too, it comes up, it's gonna be on the ballot in 2026 because our Michigan Constitution says every 16 years, the people of the state have the say-so on whether the state constitution gets opened up again. So in 2026, you are going to see that on the ballot. It's going to state, do the people of the state of Michigan request that a constitutional convention in our state be held to ratify many parts of the Michigan Constitution or change or amend? So what you're asking, I don't disagree with what you're asking, but we have to have a starting point. what is the starting point then? Because I don't disagree with you. Like, to me, ballot initiatives, I think, to give a general thing, put the counties on like an electoral college where every county is 1 point. We have 83 counties. If 42 of the counties say sure, and 41 say no, well, at least you have a very broad overview of the state for constitutional amendments. I don't disagree with what you're saying, because you have pockets in the state that are essentially choosing what goes into the Constitution, choosing what laws are going to be repealed, choosing all this chaotic stuff, and we're left holding the bag, essentially, and going, well, now what do we do? So I would question, what is the primary focus first, using the Constitution to do what has already been done?
Well, I think, if you don't mind my
Sure.
giving a rebuttal.
Yeah.
There's a particular case that was decided in 1886. It's called Norton versus Shelby County. It was Shelby County, Tennessee. And I can give you the citation if you want to write it down, 118 U.S. 425. And it defines the principles of the American Republic. And if we could, as a large group, learn and study and truly understand Norton versus Shelby County, Tennessee, and start using the language of the Republic to save the Republic, rather than using democratic methods to try to save the Republic. We're going down the wrong road when we use democratic methods to try to save the Republic. So that would be, my opinion is, we need to secure the rights that God gave to us that are embodied in our Constitution, but not by creating groups of people that are going to tell all of us what to do, any more than the representatives that are all, or public functionaries is what they're really called. But the power that the people have is in the vote and in the ability to petition our government for redress of grievance. Both of those things are sorely tested right now. Sorely tested. So, Rob, help me.
I want to piggyback. Why couldn't he change the language to his referendum, that this referendum that you're doing right now has to pass by 2/3 as the Republic would require it, and then let the people educate themselves on what you're trying to promote, and they're going to be, what, 2/3? Why isn't this 50% plus 1? Wait a minute, A, B, and C that we just voted on was 50% plus 1. We got to start going backwards.
Correct.
Put it right in your language, I say, and that's going to be your education.
Yep.
And just say the Republic in there, as President Trump said in the 2019 State of the Union Address. It's a magnificent republic.
Absolutely.
Giving it back to us.
Yes.
Want it? It sounds like you got the fire that you want it. I want it.
Absolutely.
We all want it?
Yes.
Folks.
And then regarding proposal 3, which basically gave them the right to abortion all the way up to 9 months, that is in the preamble that we ask God's blessings on ourselves and our posterity. And posterity means unborn generations, people, and that's in the federal Constitution as well as the Michigan Constitution. However, the United States courts on the internet, when I looked it up, they said, well, the preamble isn't part of the Constitution. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? That is part of the Constitution because it tells what they were trying to accomplish. Anyway, the most important part, that's right. And so anyway, so basically, we have to go back and, like when we were talking about how we're going to fight this abortion thing, we got to quit using their language. We got to say it's murder.
Yes.
We got to say that, the woman's a mother already. She's not getting pregnant. She is pregnant. She has a baby. The baby's body is different than the mother's body. So we have to start using that kind of language. So basically, even going back with the Republic, we have to start using the Republic language instead of the democracy language. And that's
Correct.
what they're doing. They're using
It's
democracy
ironic that the
language.
three of you were talking, because on our way over here, one of the things that I've learned through my 3 years is definitions are very important. Okay, definitions, and we talked about this, the three guys and I, when we came over here. when you teach all of this chaotic nonsense that's going on is because we have allowed others to define what we are actually talking about. There are those that we say republic, what does that mean? We have to go back to the original intent and the original definitions to get to where we need to be. There's so much chaos in the middle of everything. There's so many different things going on. But if we don't understand the original intent and the original definition as written at that time, then we're no better off and we're going to lose our way. Okay? Yes, sir.
Anybody that's interested in learning the definitions of the terms, I have an analytic encyclopedia of history and law that I will give you for free if you'll just send me an email at jure@juno.com and put encyclopedia in the identification line. I'll send you a PDF of the encyclopedia.
Yeah, like I have, when I started the 1828 Noah Webster's, whether you like it or not, got a whole bookcase full of all that kind of stuff. Those original definitions, Black's Laws Dictionary, all that stuff, guys. I mean, I'm learning too as we go. You can't ever stop. 3 years into this, I felt so stupid, literally 3 years ago, with my head stuck in the sand. But when I finally came to realize that I'm done giving my informed consent, and now it's time to get serious about my future, my children, my wife, and everyone else that has and shares the same heart I do, where do we go? We gotta learn, and we have to take the time to understand the facts from the fiction. We have to do that. So anyways, yes, sir.
I have a strategy. Start going to your party committee meetings every month and run for precinct delegate. I think that's the first step on the rung of the ladder, climbing up there and making a difference. Get everybody in your township to vote is one thing.
Yes.
The power of the vote's more than you think.
So anyways, it is, guys, I won't hold up any more of your time, but thank you. Thank you for having us out here.